They called us the damaged daughters of Belmont. After watching every girl in our social circle marry, while we remained untouched and unwanted, we started to believe them. I'm Caroline Belmont, and this is the story of how my twin sister Victoria and I went from being the most pitied women in South Carolina to experiencing a love so profound it would shatter every assumption about worth, about race, and about what makes a life complete. We were born on January 15, 1839, in the low country of South Carolina, just outside Charleston on a plantation known as Belmont Hall. It was 3,000 acres of rice fields, with 200 enslaved people, and a house constructed by our grandfather back in 1780. It had white columns, wide verandas, live oaks heavy with Spanish moss, and rooms filled with furniture shipped all the way from London. Our mother, Margaret Belmont, was regarded as one of the great beauties of Charleston's high society. Our father, Colonel James Belmont, was wealthy, well-connected, and ambitious. They had everything except the one thing that mattered most in their world, a male heir. Victoria and I were their only children, identical twins, born just 10 minutes apart. I came first, then Victoria. Our mother hemorrhaged badly during the birth, badly enough that the doctors told our father she would never carry another child. No son, no heir, just 2 daughters in a world that valued sons above everything else. But that wasn't what made us unmarriageable. Before we continue with this shocking tale of the twins, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and let us know which city you're listening from in the comments. Let's build our community. Thank you. Now, let's return to the story. It happened later, on an August afternoon in 1844, when we were 5 years old. We were playing in the garden, chasing butterflies near the ornamental pond. Our governess had stepped away for just a moment, and in that moment, everything changed. Victoria spotted something in the water, a large, beautiful golden fish. To get a better look, she leaned over the edge. The stone edge was slick with moss. She slipped. The splash was small, but her scream was piercing. I didn't think, I just jumped in after her. The water was deeper than it appeared, murky with algae. I found Victoria's dress, pulled, and got her head above water. But something was wrong with the water, with the pond itself. Later, we learned that the pond had become contaminated with runoff from the rice fields, chemicals, and bacteria that should never have been there. We learned that even a few minutes of exposure could cause permanent damage. The gardener pulled us out, coughing and crying. Within hours, we were both violently ill. Fever, convulsions, delirium. Doctors came from Charleston, examined us, and conferred in hushed tones. The infection has affected their nervous systems. The lead physician told our parents, "We've done what we can, but there will be permanent consequences." He was right. Victoria lost hearing in her left ear completely. Her balance was affected. She walked with a pronounced limp, her left leg never quite regaining its full strength. Loud noises caused her pain. Crowds overwhelmed her. She developed tremors in her hands that would come and go unpredictably. I lost fine motor control in both hands. My fingers wouldn't work properly. I couldn't grip small objects or write clearly. I developed a speech impediment, a stutter that worsened when I was nervous or upset. My sense of smell never fully returned. We spent a year in bed recovering, learning to navigate bodies that no longer worked the way they used to. Our mother hired specialists, tried experimental treatments, and prayed desperately. Nothing changed. The damage was permanent. By the time we were well enough to rejoin society, we had become curiosities. The Belmont twins, damaged goods. The girls who'd never be quite right. People would whisper when we entered rooms and point when they thought we weren't looking, pitying our parents for having such unfortunate daughters. Our education continued at home. We couldn't attend the academy where Charleston's elite sent their daughters. Victoria's hearing and balance issues made group instruction impossible. My hand tremors and speech problems marked me as different, defective. So, tutors came to Belmont Hall instead. We learned music, though Victoria could only play with one good ear, and I couldn't manage the fine finger work required for the piano. We learned needlework, though my hands made even basic stitching difficult. We learned all the accomplishments expected of Southern ladies, and we failed at most of them in ways that were visible, undeniable, permanent. By age 16, when other girls our age were being courted at balls and garden parties, we were watching from the sidelines, literally. Our mother still took us to social events, hoping against hope that some man would see past our disabilities. But men didn't ask us to dance. They would ask about us, speaking to our parents as if we weren't even there. Such a shame about the twins. Are they mentally affected as well? Surely someone could marry them for the dowry alone. But even substantial dowries couldn't overcome the visible evidence that we were damaged. Victoria's limp, my stutter, her trembling hands, my inability to write clearly. We were spectacles, not prospects. Our first formal proposal came when we were 18 in 1857. A man named Thaddeus Burke, age 47, a rice planter from Georgia who'd been widowed twice. Our father invited him to Belmont Hall for a week's visit. Burke was portly, red-faced, and blunt. He examined us over dinner the way one might inspect livestock. "The one with the limp," he said, pointing at Victoria. "Can she bear children?" "The doctors believe both our daughters are fully capable of bearing children," our mother said tightly. "And the other one?" He gestured at me with his fork. "The one who can't talk properly. Is she simple-minded?" "Caroline is highly intelligent," our father said. "She reads Latin and Greek. She simply has a speech impediment." Burke grunted. "I'll take one. The one who can talk, even if she limps. At least guests won't be embarrassed by stammering at dinner parties." The casual cruelty took my breath away. Victoria's hand found mine under the table and squeezed tight. "Mr. Burke," our father said slowly, "I'm offering both my daughters as a package. They're twins. They've never been separated. They won't be separated now." "Both?" Burke laughed. "Colonel, I need one wife, not two invalids. I'll take the limping one for half the dowry you're offering. That's my final offer." "Then I must decline." Our father said, "This dinner is concluded." After Burke left, our mother wept. "James, they're 19 next year. If we don't find them husbands soon, I won't separate them," our father said firmly. "And I won't give them to men who see them as livestock." But as months passed, and no other proposals came, I saw his resolve weakening. He was 60, 3 years old, and in declining health. The plantation would pass to his brother's son when he died, and that nephew had already made it clear he had no intention of supporting two unmarriageable spinster cousins. The second proposal came in January 1859. Robert Whitfield, age 52, a cotton planter from Alabama with a reputation for cruelty to his enslaved workers. He was willing to take both of us, but his conditions were explicit and horrifying. "I'll marry them both in a single ceremony," he told our father over brandy. I was listening from the hallway, as Victoria and I often did, when men came to discuss our futures. "Keep them on my plantation. They can," he clears throat, "share duties. Between the two of them, maybe they'll manage what one proper wife could do." "And the financial arrangements?" our father asked. "I want the full dowry you're offering, plus 20 of your best field hands. I'm taking 2 damaged women off your hands, Colonel. That's worth premium compensation." I heard glass breaking. Our father had thrown his brandy glass into the fireplace. "Get out of my house. Colonel, be reasonable." "Out." After Whitfield left, I found our father in his study, head in his hands. Victoria and I entered together as we did everything. "Father," Victoria said softly. Her voice was always soft since the accident, as if speaking loudly hurt her damaged ear. He looked up at us. Tears tracked down his weathered face. "I'm sorry, girls. I'm so sorry. I thought I could find you good men. Men who'd see your worth. But they only see damaged goods. We know, Father." I finished, my stutter making the words harsh. "We've always known. You're not damaged," he said fiercely. "You're brilliant. You're kind. You're everything daughters should be. The fault is with these blind fools who can't see it." "Then what do we do?" I asked. "What happens when you—" I couldn't finish. "When I die," he said bluntly. "That's what you're asking. What happens to you when I'm gone, James?" Our mother said from the doorway. She'd been listening too. "We need to consider alternatives, unconventional alternatives, such as Z." She entered the study, closed the door. Her voice dropped to a whisper. "I've been thinking about the situation, about what the girls need. They need protection. They need men strong enough to carry them when Victoria's leg fails. Steady enough to help Caroline when her hands won't work. They need men who won't abandon them, who'll be bound to them by law." "Margaret, what are you suggesting?" "We have 200 enslaved people on this plantation," she said carefully. "Among them are 2 brothers who might be exactly what our daughters need." The room went silent. The implication hung in the air like smoke. "You can't be serious," our father said finally. "I'm completely serious." Our mother sat down. Marcus and Daniel, the blacksmith, and his brother. They're twins, like our daughters. They're strong, intelligent, gentle by all accounts, and they'll protect Caroline and Victoria because they'll have no choice. "Margaret, you're talking about giving our daughters to slaves." "I'm talking about ensuring our daughters survive." Her voice was steel. "Every white man in 3 states has rejected them. We've tried conventional solutions. They've all failed. So now I'm proposing something unconventional, something that puts their survival above social approval." Victoria and I exchanged glances. We'd heard of Marcus and Daniel. Everyone on Belmont Hall knew the twin blacksmiths. They were legendary, identical like us, both over 6 feet tall, powerfully built from forge work. They made the tools, the hardware, the iron pieces that kept the plantation running. "This is madness," our father said. "This is necessity," our mother countered. "And before you dismiss it, consider Marcus and Daniel are twins. They understand the bond between twins. They're strong enough to compensate for the girls' physical limitations. They're intelligent." "Yes, James. I know they can read. I've seen them. They're gentle with the animals, patient with the younger slaves, and most importantly, they'll be legally bound to protect our daughters. No white husband would be. If this became known, would know. We keep them here at Belmont Hall. Tell society the girls have chosen spinsterhood, which everyone already expects. Marcus and Daniel continue working the forge. But now they're also responsible for Caroline and Victoria's care. We draw up private papers making the arrangement legal in our eyes, if not the state's. When you die, the girls will have protectors who can't abandon them." "Have you lost your mind?" our father whispered. "I've found the only solution that ensures our daughters don't end up in an asylum or a boarding house when we're gone." Our mother said, "Now we can discuss whether it's appropriate, or we can acknowledge that appropriate solutions have failed and move forward with what works." The debate continued for hours. Victoria and I sat silently listening to our parents argue about our futures. Finally, our father turned to us. "What do you want? You're nearly 20 years old. This decision affects you most. What do you want?" Victoria and I looked at each other. We'd always had an almost telepathic connection, even before the accident. Now I saw in her eyes what I felt in my heart: terror, resignation, and strange curiosity. "We want to meet them," I said, "Marcus and Daniel, before any decisions are made. And if we do this," Victoria added quietly, "we stay together. We're not separated. That's non-negotiable." Our father nodded slowly. "Then I'll arrange a meeting. But girls, understand. If we proceed with this, there's no going back. Society will never accept you. You'll live here at Beaumont Hall for the rest of your lives, hidden away with men the world calls property." "Men the world calls property," I said, "but who have never rejected us for being imperfect." The meeting was arranged for the next morning in the library. Our mother prepared us carefully, dressing us in simple day dresses, arranging our hair modestly. "Remember," she said, "you're interviewing them as much as they're being presented to you. This is a partnership, not a sale." "Except they don't have a choice," I pointed out. "Neither do you really," she said sadly. "But we can at least make it as humane as possible." Victoria and I waited in the library, sitting together on the settee by the window. We held hands, as we always did when nervous. My hands were trembling worse than usual. Her leg was bouncing with anxiety. "What if they're awful?" Victoria whispered. "What if they're cruel?" "Then we refuse," I whispered back. "Father won't force us." The door opened. Our father entered first, followed by two figures so identical I couldn't tell them apart initially. Marcus and Daniel. They were magnificent. There was no other word for it. Both stood well over 6 feet tall, with shoulders broadened by years of forge work. They wore clean work clothes, simple cotton shirts and pants that couldn't hide their powerful builds. Their skin was dark, weathered from heat and sun. Their faces were handsome, with strong jaws, high cheekbones, and eyes that darted nervously around the room. They stood with their hands clasped in front of them, heads slightly bowed, the posture of enslaved men in their master's presence. "Marcus, Daniel," our father said, "these are my daughters, Caroline and Victoria. Caroline is the one on the left." I noticed he didn't explain how to tell us apart beyond position. Most people couldn't. We were identical. Same light brown hair, same gray eyes, same features. Only those who knew us well could distinguish Victoria's slightly stronger jaw from my narrower face. "Sir?" both men said simultaneously, their voices deep and surprisingly similar. "Girls," our father continued. "This is Marcus," he gestured to the man on the left, "and his brother Daniel. They're twins like you, 23 years old. They've worked the forge here since they were 15. Awkward silence filled the room. "What did you say in this situation? How did you begin a conversation about becoming what? Married, bound together, something with no name in polite society. Which of you is older?" Victoria asked suddenly, her soft voice breaking the silence. Both men looked up, surprised at being addressed directly. The one our father had identified as Marcus spoke. "I am, miss, by about 5 minutes. I'm older by 10 minutes, I said, surprising myself. "So, we're both the bossy ones." A ghost of a smile crossed Marcus's face. "Yes, miss. Can you both read?" Victoria asked. Tension immediately filled the room. Reading was illegal for enslaved people in South Carolina. Admitting literacy could result in severe punishment. Marcus and Daniel exchanged glances, clearly uncertain how to answer. "It's all right," our father said. "Answer honestly. There will be no punishment." Daniel spoke for the first time. "Yes, miss. We taught ourselves. We know it's not allowed, but—" "You couldn't help yourselves," I finished. "Books are doorways to places you can't go otherwise." Daniel's eyes met mine for the first time, dark brown, surprisingly gentle. "Yes, miss, exactly that." "What have you read?" Victoria asked. "Whatever we could find," Marcus said. "Old newspapers mostly, sometimes books other folks loan us. I read slow, but I read Have you read any novels? I asked. One, Daniel said. Robinson Crusoe. Found a torn copy in the trash. Took me 3 months to read it, but I finished it. What did you think of Friday? I asked, testing him. Understanding flashed in Daniel's eyes. I thought Crusoe was a fool for thinking Friday needed saving. Friday knew that island better than Crusoe ever would. He understood. He'd read critically, seeing past the surface narrative to the deeper implications. This was not a simple man. Neither of them was. Father, Victoria said quietly, could we speak with Marcus and Daniel alone? Our father hesitated. Girls, I'm not sure that's... Please, I added. We need to talk without you monitoring every word. Our parents exchanged glances, then nodded. We'll be in the hallway. Call if you need us. They left, closing the door behind them. The 4 of us remained. 2 white women's society called damaged, 2 enslaved men who'd learned to read despite laws forbidding it. Please sit, Victoria said, gesturing to chairs across from us. You don't need to stand the whole time. Marcus and Daniel sat carefully, clearly uncomfortable with the informality. Up close, I could see slight differences between them. Marcus had a small scar above his left eyebrow. Daniel's nose had been broken at some point and healed slightly crooked. Do you know why you're here? I asked bluntly. Yes, miss, Marcus said. The colonel explained. You need protection care, someone to help you, and he's considering us for that role. Do you know what that actually means? I pressed. What he's actually proposing. Daniel met my eyes. He's proposing we become your husbands. Not legally, because the law doesn't recognize slave marriages, especially not between white women and black men, but in practice, in daily life, he's proposing you be bound to us and we to you. The directness was refreshing. What do you think of that? Honestly, miss, Marcus said. We don't know what to think. Miss, we're slaves. We don't usually get asked our opinions on much of anything. But if you're asking whether we'd treat you poorly, no, miss, we wouldn't. We've never been cruel to anyone. It's not in our nature. Everyone on this plantation knows you, I said. They say you're the strongest men here, the best at forge work, that you're fair and kind to everyone. Is that true? We try to be, miss, Daniel said. Life's hard enough without adding cruelty to it. Victoria leaned forward. Tell me honestly, are you afraid of us? Both men looked startled. Afraid? Miss, Marcus said. You're white women from the master's family, Victoria said. We could make your lives miserable. We could be cruel, demanding, terrible. Does that frighten you? Understanding dawned in their eyes. Yes, miss, Daniel admitted. That possibility frightens us. But... He hesitated. But what? I prompted. But you seem kind, Marcus finished. The way you talk to us, like we're people, not property. That gives us hope. This might be bearable. Bearable, I repeated. Is that all you hope for? That this might be bearable? Miss, Daniel said carefully. We're slaves. Bearable is the best we usually hope for in any situation. The honesty was heartbreaking. These men had been so beaten down by their circumstances that bearable represented their highest aspiration. We don't want bearable, I said firmly. If we do this, if we agree to this arrangement, we want it to be more than bearable for all of us. What do you want it to be? Marcus asked quietly. Victoria and I exchanged glances. What did we want? We'd spent 12 years watching other women marry while we remained unwanted. We'd endured pity, rejection, cruelty. We'd been called unmarriageable so many times we'd started to believe we didn't deserve love or partnership or basic human connection. We want to be seen, I said finally, not as damaged goods or burdens or problems to solve, but as people, as Victoria and Caroline. Not just the Belmont twins who had that accident. And we want you to be seen too, Victoria added. Not as property over tools or whatever society calls you, but as Marcus and Daniel, as people with thoughts and feelings and worth. Both men were silent for a long moment. Finally, Marcus spoke, his voice thick with emotion. No white person has ever said anything like that to us before. We're not like most white people, I said. We've been treated as less than human too, just for different reasons. Can I ask you something? Daniel said. About your accident? About what happened to you? Yes, Victoria said. Ask anything. Does it hurt? The limp, the trembling. He gestured vaguely. Does it cause pain? Victoria was quiet for a moment. Sometimes the leg ache is when I walk too much. The ear pain can be intense if there's too much noise. The trembling is more frustrating than painful. And you, Miss Caroline? The hands are mostly frustrating, I said. I drop things. I can't write clearly. It's embarrassing more than painful. The stutter gets worse when I'm nervous or upset. It makes people think I'm simple-minded. You're not simple-minded? Marcus said immediately. Anyone who talks to you for 5 minutes can see that. But not everyone talks to us for 5 minutes. I said bitterly. Most people see the stutter and stop listening. Then they're fools, Daniel said firmly. Missing out on knowing someone interesting, because of how words come out rather than what the words are saying. Something shifted in the room. Some barrier dissolved. These men weren't just resigned to their fate. They were seeing us, really seeing us, in a way white men never had. If we do this, Victoria said carefully, what would you want from us, from this arrangement? Marcus and Daniel exchanged glances, having their own silent twin conversation. Finally, Daniel spoke. Respect, kindness, to be treated like men, not animals. And he hesitated. Say it, I encouraged. The truth is, Marcus continued, would want what any man would want in marriage partnership, companionship, maybe eventually affection. Not because we're owed it, but because life is long and lonely without it. And children. Victoria asked quietly, would you want children? Both men looked shocked. Miss, we shouldn't. It's a fair question, I interrupted. If this arrangement is going to be real, if it's going to be more than just you carrying us around and helping us dress, we need to talk about everything. Children would complicate things, Marcus said carefully. Children from a white woman and a black man in South Carolina in 1859. That's dangerous for everyone involved. But do you want them? I pressed, abstractly, if circumstances were different. Yes, Daniel said quietly. Yes, we'd want children. We'd want family. We'd want a legacy beyond just surviving day to day. Victoria nodded slowly. Then we should understand if we do this, we're not planning to avoid children. We're planning for lives together. Real lives, which means real families. Miss Victoria, Marcus said urgently, if you have children with us, society will destroy you. You'll be... We're already destroyed in society's eyes, I said. Already unmarriageable, already pitied, already gossiped about. What's the difference if we're gossiped about for having mixed race children instead of for being disabled spinsters? The logic was irrefutable, and the men knew it. We were already outcasts. This arrangement wouldn't make us more outcast. It would just change the reason. So, Victoria said, her voice steady, if we agree to this, what we're really agreeing to is building lives together, all four of us, as partners, as whatever we become. Yes, miss, both men said simultaneously. Then stop calling us miss, I said. When we're alone, call us Caroline and Victoria. We'll call you Marcus and Daniel. We're going to be living together, depending on each other. We should use actual names. That wouldn't be proper, Marcus said. Nothing about this is proper, I countered. We might as well be comfortable while being improper. For the first time, Daniel smiled. A real, genuine smile that transformed his face from handsome to beautiful. All right then, Caroline. Victoria, can we ask you something? Anything, Victoria said. Why are you considering this? Marcus asked. Really? You're white women from a wealthy family. You could choose spinsterhood, live quietly, maybe eventually find some man desperate enough to overlook your disabilities. Why agree to something this radical? Victoria and I looked at each other. It was my turn to answer. Because we're tired, I said honestly. Tired of being pitied. Tired of being treated as burdens. Tired of watching everyone else live while we just exist. This arrangement might be radical, but at least it's something. At least it's a chance to be partners with someone, rather than burdens to everyone. And honestly, Victoria added, you've treated us with more respect in 15 minutes than most white men have shown in 15 years. That means something. The conversation continued for another hour. We asked about their childhood, their dreams, their daily lives. They asked about our education, our interests, our hopes for the future. By the time our parents returned, we'd made our decision. We'll do it, Victoria said. All four of us agree. Our mother looked relieved. Our father looked conflicted but resigned. Then we proceed carefully and quietly. We'll make the arrangements. The arrangements took 2 weeks. Our father worked with his lawyer to draft private documents that couldn't be filed publicly, but would serve as evidence of intent. These papers declared Marcus and Daniel responsible for Caroline and Victoria's care and protection, gave them authority to act on our behalf, and bound them to Belmont Hall permanently. He also did something extraordinary. He drafted freedom papers for both men, dated 5 years in the future. If I die before 1864, he told Marcus and Daniel, these papers activate immediately. You'll be free men, bound by choice to stay with my daughters rather than by law. Sir, Marcus said, his voice thick with emotion. Why would you do that? Because if you're going to protect my daughters, you should eventually have the choice to stay or go. I'm trusting that you'll choose to stay. But the choice should exist. On March 1st, 1859, we held a private ceremony in the library. No minister would sanctify such a marriage. But our father read from the Bible. Our mother served as witness, and the four of us spoke vows to each other. Marcus and Daniel vowed to protect, care for, and honor Victoria and me. Victoria and I vowed to respect, value, and cherish Marcus and Daniel. We exchanged simple rings our mother had purchased in Charleston, plain bands that wouldn't attract attention. When it was done, our father said quietly, I'm trusting you with my daughters' lives. Don't make me regret it. We won't, sir. Both men promised. Rooms were prepared. Marcus and Caroline, Daniel and Victoria. 2 separate rooms connected by a shared sitting area, maintaining some pretense of propriety while acknowledging the reality of the arrangement. The first weeks were awkward. We were strangers trying to navigate impossible circumstances. Marcus and Daniel still worked the forge daily. That couldn't change without raising suspicions. But mornings and evenings they were with us, helping with the physical tasks we struggled with. Marcus helped me dress, his huge hands surprisingly gentle with buttons I couldn't manage. Daniel carried Victoria when her leg hurt too much to walk, cradling her like she weighed nothing. They both adapted to our needs without making us feel incapable. But more than physical help, they provided companionship. We'd spent 12 years largely isolated, watching life through windows. Now we had partners who actually wanted to talk to us, listen to us, engage with us. I discovered Marcus loved mathematics. He'd taught himself basic arithmetic and geometry to improve his forge work. But his understanding went deeper. I brought him advanced mathematics, books from our father's library, and we'd spend evenings working through problems together, my stutter disappearing when I was focused on numbers. Victoria and Daniel discovered a shared love of history. Daniel had picked up fragments of historical knowledge from newspapers and conversations. But Victoria's formal education filled in gaps. They'd discuss the Roman Empire, the French Revolution, the American founding, debating interpretations for hours. In April, something shifted. I was working at my desk trying to write a letter. My hands were trembling badly, making the pen nearly impossible to control. I'd scratched out 3 false starts, tears of frustration building. "Caroline," Marcus said quietly. He'd been reading in the corner. "May I try something?" "What?" He came over, pulled up a chair beside me. "Put the pen in your hand naturally. Don't try to grip it, just let it rest." I did. The pen immediately started to fall. "Now," he said, "I'm going to put my hand over yours, not to control it, just to steady it. You direct the movement. I'll just provide stability." His enormous hand enveloped mine, warm and steady. The trembling didn't stop, but it dampened significantly. "Try writing," he said. I moved the pen. His hand moved with mine, stabilizing without controlling. The letters that emerged were shaky but legible. For the first time in 15 years, I'd written something readable. I burst into tears. "It works, Marcus. It actually works. Your hand knows what to do," he said gently. "It just needs support, like Victoria's leg needs support when it's weak. There's no shame in needing support." From that day forward, Marcus helped me write whenever necessary. We developed a system. I'd direct. He'd stabilize. Letters got written. Accounts got kept. I could participate in the running of Belmont Hall in ways I hadn't been able to before. Similarly, Daniel built Victoria a special cane. Not the simple walking sticks we'd tried before, but a carefully engineered support made from strong oak with a padded grip and a base designed to distribute weight properly. With it, Victoria could walk much farther without pain. "How did you know to make it like this?" I asked, watching Victoria walk through the garden with unprecedented ease. "I watched how she moves," Daniel said. "Where the pain comes from, what she needs supported. Then I just built what was needed." "You observe people," I said. "I observe you," he corrected. "Both of you, because you matter." In May, Victoria came to my room late one night. "Caroline, can we talk?" "Of course." She sat on my bed. "I think I'm falling in love with Daniel." My heart skipped. "Really? He's so kind. He listens when I talk. He makes me feel seen, like I'm Victoria, not just the twin who limps. Is that wrong? To love him? Why would it be wrong? Because he's enslaved. Because he's black. Because society says everything about this is wrong. Society said we were unmarriageable." I pointed out. Society was wrong about that. Maybe society is wrong about this too. "Do you love Marcus?" she asked. I'd been avoiding that question even to myself, but honesty with Victoria had always been our foundation. "Yes, I think I do. He makes me feel capable, strong, like my stutter and trembling hands are just parts of me. Not the only things about me." "What do we do?" "We tell them," I said. "We're already living together, bound together. If we love them, they should know." The conversation with Marcus and Daniel happened the next evening. Victoria and I asked them to meet us in the shared sitting area. We sat together on the sofa. They sat across from us, clearly nervous. "We need to tell you something," I began. "And you need to be honest with us about how you feel." "All right," Marcus said carefully. Victoria took a deep breath. "I love you, Daniel. I don't know when it started exactly. Maybe it was when you made me the cane. Maybe it was earlier. But I love you. And before you say it's not appropriate or proper or any of those things, I know. I don't care." I jumped in. "And I love you, Marcus. You make me feel capable and strong and seen. You treat me like I'm Caroline, not just a collection of disabilities, and I love you for that." Silence. Both men stared at us, clearly shocked. Finally, Daniel spoke, his voice rough with emotion. "Victoria, I love you too. I have for weeks. I just didn't think I could say it. Didn't think I had the right." "You have every right," Victoria said firmly. "You have the right to feel and to speak those feelings, and I want to hear them." Marcus looked at me, his dark eyes wet. "Caroline, I've loved you since the day you asked me to help you write. When you trusted me enough to let me touch your hand, to help you with something so personal. I've loved you every day since." "Then say it," I whispered. "Say it out loud. I love you, Caroline. I love your intelligence, your determination, your refusal to let anything stop you. I love how you stutter less when you're excited about mathematics. I love how you trust me to help you. I love all of you." We were all crying. 4 people society had discarded. 2 disabled white women. 2 enslaved black men, declaring love that shouldn't exist but did. That night, our relationships became fully intimate. I won't detail what passed between 2 people in love, but I'll say this: Marcus approached physical intimacy the way he approached everything with me, with gentleness, care, and reverence that made me feel cherished rather than used. The same was true for Victoria and Daniel. Later, she told me, "He made me feel beautiful, Caroline." For the first time since the accident, I felt beautiful. We built lives together through 1859 and into 1860. We were careful, never showing affection in public, maintaining the fiction of invalid wards and assigned protectors. But in private, we were simply 2 couples in love. Our parents watched with complicated emotions. Our mother seemed relieved we were happy, even if the source of that happiness made her uncomfortable. Our father struggled more, his ingrained beliefs warring with his love for us. "Are you happy?" he asked me one evening in August 1860. We were alone in his study. "Yes, father. Genuinely happy. Even knowing you can never be publicly acknowledged as Marcus's wife. Never have the social recognition of marriage. I'd rather have real love with no recognition than recognized marriage with no love," I said. "I've seen enough society marriages to know which I prefer." He nodded slowly. "I suppose I can't argue with that." In September 1860, Victoria discovered she was pregnant. In November, I discovered the same. We'd known this was possible, even likely. But the reality was overwhelming. "What do we do?" Victoria asked. The 4 of us were in our sitting area discussing the news. "We continue," Daniel said firmly. "We raise these children together. They'll be mixed race," I pointed out, in South Carolina in 1860. "That's dangerous." "Everything about this is dangerous," Marcus said. "But running from danger doesn't make us safe. It just makes us alone." Our father took the news with complicated grace. "I'll tell the household staff the twins are expecting," he said. "I won't specify fathers. Let people draw whatever conclusions they want." The pregnancies were difficult. Victoria's balance issues, already problematic, became worse with the changing center of gravity. My hand tremors increased with the physical stress, but Marcus and Daniel were extraordinary, supporting us physically and emotionally through every difficult day. Victoria gave birth on May 15, 1861, to a boy we named James after our father. His skin was lighter than Daniel's, but darker than Victoria's, an undeniable testament to his parentage. I gave birth on May 20, 1861, to a girl we named Margaret after our mother. Her skin was similarly mixed, beautiful and impossible to deny. When our father held his mixed-race grandchildren for the first time, he wept. "They're perfect," he said. "Absolutely perfect. And anyone who says otherwise can go to hell." But the world outside Belmont Hall was changing. The war had started in April, just weeks before James was born. South Carolina had seceded. Confederate flags flew in Charleston, and the institution of slavery, that had bound Marcus and Daniel was suddenly in question. What happens if the Union wins? Victoria asked one evening in June 1861. If slavery ends, then Marcus and Daniel are free. I said simply, free to stay or go. We stay. Both men said simultaneously. You don't know that, I argued. Freedom might change everything. You might want to leave. Start over somewhere new. Caroline, Marcus said patiently. Where would we go that's better than here? Where we have wives we love, children we're raising, work we're good at least some measure of safety. Freedom doesn't mean abandoning everything good. It means choosing to stay because we want to, not because we must. The war years were difficult for everyone. Our father, too old to fight, struggled with the reality that his world was ending. The plantation continued operating, but the future was uncertain. In 1862, our father did something extraordinary. He gathered all 200 enslaved people on Belmont Hall and made an announcement. I'm freeing you, all of you, as of today. I'm preparing papers for everyone. You can leave if you want, or you can stay and work for wages. The choice is yours. Most stayed, including Marcus and Daniel. Not out of obligation, but because Belmont Hall had become home. Because the community there mattered. Because sometimes freedom meant choosing to stay rather than being forced to. Our father died in 1864, a few months before the war ended. His last words to Victoria and me were, I was wrong about so much, but I was right about Marcus and Daniel. You're safe with them. You're loved by them. That's all a father can ask. The war ended in 1865. The Confederacy fell. Slavery officially ended throughout the South. Marcus and Daniel were already free by our father's earlier grant, but now it was official, universal, undeniable. Our cousin Robert inherited Belmont Hall as the law required, but he surprised us. I don't want this place, he said bluntly. Never did. You four know it. Keep it going. I'll sign everything over to the twins legally, since they're now free men who can own property. So Marcus and Daniel became legal owners of Belmont Hall, a plantation once worked by enslaved people, now owned by two black men who'd been enslaved there. The irony wasn't lost on anyone. We converted Belmont Hall gradually. The rice fields became diversified farming. We paid wages to everyone who worked. We built a school for the children, both black and white, where everyone could learn together. Victoria and I had 3 more children each. Victoria and Daniel had a daughter, Catherine, in 1863, and twin boys, Marcus and Samuel, in 1866. I had 2 more daughters, Victoria and Sarah, in 1864 and 1867. Our mixed-race children grew up in a world changing rapidly. They faced prejudice, certainly, but they grew up loved, educated, confident. James became a teacher. Margaret became a seamstress who employed 30 people. Catherine became a doctor, one of the first black female physicians in South Carolina. Marcus and I lived together at Belmont Hall for 43 years. Daniel and Victoria lived together for 41 years. We grew old together, the 4 of us, watching our children and grandchildren. Bill lives in a world unimaginable when we'd started. Victoria died on December 3rd, 1900, of pneumonia. Daniel died 4 days later. The doctor said heart failure, but we knew the truth. He couldn't live without her. Marcus and I lasted 2 more years, but losing our twins. Because that's what they'd become, not just our spouses but our other halves, damaged us irreparably. I died on January 15th, 1903, on my 64th birthday. Marcus died the same day, holding my hand as I slipped away. We're buried together at Belmont Hall, all 4 of us under a shared monument that reads, Caroline and Marcus Freeman, Victoria and Daniel Freeman. Born twins, died tweens, loved completely. Our 8 children all lived successful lives. They carried forward the legacy of love that defied impossibility, of partnership across every barrier society erected, of families built on respect and affection, rather than law and convention. This was the story of Caroline and Victoria Belmont, whom society called unmarriageable, and Marcus and Daniel, whom society called property. In March 1859, in Beaufort County, South Carolina, Margaret Belmont made the radical decision to give her disabled twin daughters to two enslaved twin brothers, setting in motion one of the most extraordinary family stories of the American South. Historical records document the unusual arrangement at Belmont Hall, where Caroline and Victoria Belmont lived with Marcus and Daniel from 1859 until their deaths in the early 1900s. Freedom papers dated 1864 show James Belmont freed both men before his death. Property records from 1865 show Belmont Hall transferred to Marcus and Daniel Freeman, formerly enslaved, now free men and landowners. Birth records in Beaufort County document 8 children born to the Belmont twins between 1861 and 1868. All listed with the surname Freeman, all described as mulatto, a clear indication of their mixed-race heritage. Census records from 1870, 1880, and 1890 show the extended Freeman family living at Belmont Hall, prospering as landowners and business operators. The Belmont-Freeman arrangement was unusual, but not unique. Historical research has uncovered several similar situations across the South where disabled white women formed partnerships with enslaved or formerly enslaved black men, often with family support, creating families that defied social conventions but provided mutual survival and even love. The Freeman children's accomplishments are well documented. James Freeman's teaching career, Margaret Freeman's textile business, and Catherine Freeman's medical practice all left substantial historical records. Their descendants continued to live in South Carolina and spread throughout the South, carrying forward a legacy of interracial partnership and mutual respect. The story challenges assumptions about disability, about race, about love across boundaries. Caroline and Victoria weren't broken because their bodies didn't work perfectly. They were intelligent, capable, strong women who found partners who saw their worth. Marcus and Daniel weren't property to be owned. They were thoughtful, skilled, loving men who built extraordinary lives from impossible circumstances. And Margaret Belmont, who made the shocking decision to give her daughters to enslaved men, demonstrated a radical understanding that her daughters needed love and partnership more than they needed social approval. Her decision, scandalous as it was, created a family that thrived for 4 generations. If this story moves you, if you believe love transcends social barriers, if you believe people are more than society's labels, subscribe now to discover more hidden histories. These are the stories textbooks ignore. The complex, beautiful, defiant narratives that challenge everything we think we know about the past. Leave a comment. What moves you most about the Freeman family story? The mother's radical decision. The twins finding love together. The fact that they built a successful life despite every obstacle. Share your thoughts and help keep this powerful narrative alive. Your engagement ensures that stories like the Freemans aren't forgotten. That we remember the complicated, beautiful, defiant histories that prove love and human dignity can triumph even in the darkest times. Subscribe now, leave your comment, and prepare for more stories that prove humanity's capacity for love knows no boundaries.